Hi, and welcome to our third part of my growing up 80s as a Doctor Who fan. This one is less story and more show and tell. I'm going to show you 10 things in my collection that I think are worth showing. And we're going to start off by digging into my back pocket here and pulling out my wallet. Now, why would I pull out my wallet? Because inside this wallet, I have ticket stubs. And I will put images of these up on the screen so you can see them a little better. But what these ticket stubs are, the first one is for a Doctor Who and comic book convention, June 10th, 1984, and this was in Philadelphia. And this was for the Tom Baker convention. It's the first celebrity I met from Doctor Who, and it was the only time I was really fully starstruck meeting Tom Baker. I was in awe of being in the same room as him, even though I was all the way in the back in the balcony. The next ticket stub is a Doctor Who Star Trek convention. I don't know what year this was because it's cut off on the ticket stub here. But it was February 10th, so it was a winter convention. I'll have to look and see what convention I was at on February 10th, and I'll put that on the screen. The next ticket, I have two ticket stubs here for the Saturday Cabaret at Whovian 86. And this featured like Colin Baker and Anthony Ainley, and everybody was performing. It was just an amazing event. And this was April 6th. No, I'm sorry. What's the date on this? May 24th, 1986. And the final ticket stub is A Day with John Pertwee, the third Doctor Who. This was November something, 1986. I'll have to look and figure out what day that was. It's kind of blurry on the ticket stub. The interesting thing about this convention was John Pertwee was unable to show. It turned out he had hepatitis. I think it was hepatitis C. I don't remember. So he sent a video message for everybody. So it was an evening with John Pertwee without John Pertwee. That was the first convention I think I went to with my then girlfriend, Sandra. But that's not what I wanted to show you. That is not the main part of this show and tell number one here. The main part was the wallet. This wallet isn't just a wallet. It was my official Doctor Who Fan Club of America wallet. I got this as a member of being in the fan club. My second part of the show and tell, number two, peace, as Ringo would say, peace and love, is this VHS tape. This is Doctor Who's Who's Who. This was put together, I think, by NJN Network, which was Channel 23 here, and hosted by Eric Luskin. It features John Pertwee, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and of course Tom Baker. And this was the convention I just showed you the ticket for. This was the convention I was at in Philadelphia that they have on tape here. How cool is that? I was in the audience for this. And this isn't a copy. This isn't somebody's homemade videotape. This is the official release of the documentary. And as you can see, here's the videotape. And yes, it's unwound. Sorry. That's the videotape. You know, this is how you had to get things. If you didn't record it off a TV when it aired, you had to buy the VHS tape. We didn't have DVDs. So that was the only way to get it. That's number two. Okay, the third item I have is VHS tapes. These VHS tapes, this is The Deadly Assassin, and it's still factory sealed. You can see the blue strip at the bottom. These were gold back then. If you didn't record it off a TV when it aired, the only other way you can get your Doctor Who episodes was on VHS tapes. They weren't cheap, and not every store carried them. I can go to East Coast Video, or was it called West Coast Video? I can go to a whole bunch of video places. Blockbuster, Hollywood Video. They didn't carry this. I had to go to either Movies Unlimited, which is a specialty video shop, or Tower Records. This, I believe I got at Tower Records. And I know I paid $60. It was a new release. $60. Same deal with More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS. I believe I paid $60. But I showed this in another episode, I think, so I'm not going to... The other one I have here is The Brain of Morbius. Now, this one I can tell you I did not pay $60 for. I remember this was actually, I think, a gift somebody gave me, so I didn't pay anything for this one. The last one I paid $125 for at Tower Records, and this was The Trial of a Time Lord. Now, at the time, I was working a part-time job, I believe. I probably saved up a month of salary to buy this. It's just 3 videotapes, The Trial of a Time Lord. And look at this case. How cool is that? Number 4 on my list is audio tapes. Now, these audio tapes, this is Doctor Who, The Macra Terror. And this was one of the episodes of Patrick Troughton. It's a 2 cassette tape set. This is what it looks like. The Macra Terror, The Missing Stories. And it's presented by Colin Baker, who at the time was the 6th Doctor. I don't remember if this was fully narrated, but it does say starring Patrick Troughton, so I believe it's audio from the actual episode with narration giving guide as to what was going on by Colin Baker. But yeah, BBC audio collection, The Missing Stories, The Macra Terror. Number 5 on my list is one of my more fun ones. This is Doctor Who, The Game of Time and Space. This was an actual board game that came with books inside that you would open up and, well, you know, I'll open it up real quickly here. So it would have the board itself, which I'm not going to fully open up here. Came with an instruction booklet. It came with tokens, but they're all punched out because we played the game. And it came with these cards, these item cards, which you would use as part of the game. Now, I don't fully remember playing the game, but I know I did. I don't remember it being too fun. I remember it being rather boring and hard to follow. But that might have been me. But this is it. Doctor Who, The Game of Time and Space. The next one on the list, number 6, is another game. This is the Doctor Who role-playing game. It's a bit beat up. It's very beat up. I mean, you can see on the inside there. But the game itself was a lot more fun than the previous game. I actually have the catalogs that came with it in here. But you would get the guide. This is the manual. And then you would get different games that you can play. So I had Countdown, Cybermen. We had The Dalek Problem, a synopsism. There's another one called The Daleks. If I can get it open here. The Daleks. There was one called The Itian Menace. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The Itian Menace. Another one called The Lords of Destiny. And then the Full Player's Manual, which is this. And then the role-playing game Source Book for Field Agents. Don't ask me, I don't remember. And I'm going to drop everything in a second here if I don't put it all back. The next one is definitely a rarity. This was given to me from a friend of mine back then named Sandor Flitter. And we used to go to conventions together. He lived on the next street. We would go, him and his sister, Dana, who, little secret, I used to have a crush on. But he gave me this bubble bath. And it's still full. I've never opened it. You could hear it. It's from Addis Fun Time, and it says toiletries, but it's TOY hyphen the trees, toiletries. I've always treasured this. I don't know why he gave it to me. I don't remember. I I just remember we were at the house and he said, here, you can have this. But I kept it. And that's... what else is there to say? It's supposed to be a fragrant bubble bath. I've never smelled it, or I probably did and don't remember. The next one is my prized possession. It's the third to last? Second to last. Third to last, I'm sorry. It's the third to last. This is my prized possession. This is a book called Doctor Who, A Celebration. And I know you guys are thinking to yourself, why is this a prized possession? You can get this online for like $3, $4. But mine's different than others. Mine's a lot different than others. Because mine is filled with autographs. And I'm going to put them on screen, all the autographs that are in here. But I can tell you, just off the top of my thumb, right now, Patrick Troughton's is in here. Which, if I can find it real quick, I'll show it to you. I have Patrick Troughton. I have Sarah Sutton, Janet Fielding, Carol Ann Ford. Just so many different autographs in here. Terry Nation. Here's Terry Nation's right here. He's the creator of the Daleks. But I do have a lot of autographs in here. So this is definitely my prized possession. And if I can find my autograph from Patrick Troughton, I'll be happy. It should be right around here, actually. There it is. There it is. I'll put up close there. Yep. To Dave, Patrick Troughton. There's a lot of autographs in this book, and it goes from the front cover all the way to the back. And if I were to guess, I would say there might be 30 autographs in here. Just in the front cover alone, Grace Lee Whitney, Walter Koenig, George Takei, Robert Englund. They are non-Doctor Who. The non-Doctor Who ones I usually save for the inside covers. On the back, I have Carol Ann Ford and Eric Luskin. But inside is where they all are. Here, look, here's Ian Marter's signature. Some I have signed in here multiple times. Here, Louise Jameson, twice. Mary Tam, and she signed. I have Matthew Waterhouse. I have Sarah Sutton, Janet Fielding, as I said. Anthony Ainley. So there's a lot in here. This is a prized possession for me. Number 9 is my second prized possession. My second. And these, I really only have the 2. This is a poster that's signed by a lot of people from the show that I've seen. Unfortunately, Tom Baker's not one of them. But it's pretty interesting to see that I have Ian Marter, Mark Strickson, Sarah Sutton, Matthew Waterhouse, John Nathan Turner, Terrence Dix, Louise Jameson, Lalla Ward, and Colin Baker all signed this. What Doctor Who fan would be a Doctor Who fan without this? I'm talking about the scarf. Yes, the Doctor Who scarf that you wrap around and you wear it. I don't wear it like Tom Baker did, but I guess if I did, I'd have to wear it kind of like this. And now, I'm a Doctor Who fan, and anybody who saw me in the street wearing this would know I'm a Doctor Who fan. But yeah, this story behind this one, I used to have another scarf that was made for me by a friend who had passed away, which I mentioned in the last episode. This was given to me by another friend whose boyfriend had some Doctor Who stuff, but wasn't a real collector. And when they found out that I was a collector, they gave this to me. So, a Doctor Who scarf. This is not the official size. I believe the official size is 22 feet. My original one was 22 feet. This one is a pretty cool gift, though. You got to admit, this is cool. Thank you for joining me on this little show and tell and my trip through the last 3 episodes of growing up in the 80s as a Doctor Who fan. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Have a really good day. See you next time.